go grab your guitar right now. Wait, where's mine? Oh, here it is. Go grab your guitar. I've got a really awesome metal rhythm lesson for you today. We're gonna go from playing the typical gallops like this to some more advanced galloping riffs like this one. Alright guys, I've got 3 advanced galloping riffs that you're about to learn, and I really think this video lesson here is going to help take your rhythm playing to that next level. So I encourage you to spend some time, and of course, don't just learn what I'm showing you. I encourage you to expand on them once you learn the riffs, and I'll talk more about that later. Now, if you're already familiar with the galloping method and you're ready to get started with the first lesson, the time down there, that's when the first lesson starts. If you're new at galloping or you're not sure what galloping is, so what this is a very quick and snappy alternate picking technique that you do, of course, with your picking hand, but it's a very quick and snappy 1, 2, 3, just like this. And if you'd like to learn more about this specific method and just practice the method, I've actually got another video. I'll throw that up there. And of course, when you finish that video, then come back and watch this one and go through these lessons. All right, let's get started with the advanced galloping riffs. Here's riff 1. Alright, so this first galloping, or what we're calling advanced galloping riff here, we're just kind of getting our feet wet. And what I mean by that is we're going to get used to galloping with some movement, with some finger movement. See, normally when you're just doing the galloping technique, you're kind of hanging on that one note. Now that sounds cool, and I love it. I love when music has that in it. I know you guys do too, or else you wouldn't be watching this video. But this first lesson, we're just going to kind of break away from that a little bit and just get ourselves used to doing some finger movement along with the galloping technique, because this is where you can really make your riffs a little bit more interesting than just the standard, galloping that we just did, which again sounds very cool. I encourage you guys to use that as well. Let's just go through this riff. I will throw the tabs up, by the way. Now the tabs aren't going to be written perfectly, guys. I'm kind of just like typing these in. So what I really encourage you to do is try your best just to listen and learn to play these by ear. Learn to hear what's going on and then translate that over to your guitar. Now, on that note, no pun intended, I always use that pun, so it's intended. What I also encourage you to do even more is if you don't play it perfectly, if you don't play exactly what I'm doing note for note, that's okay. All right, don't chastise yourself for that. I would rather you come up with something based on the concept that you're learning. I'd rather you come up with something on your own and be like, okay, well, I like my riff a little bit better than what Jason played. I encourage that. Okay, so let's go through this riff, and again, I'll put the tabs, I'll type in the tabs down there. So again, the key takeaway here is we're kind of hopping back and forth between a fretted note and the open string. And the galloping here, just kind of watch and listen closely as I do this. I'm just going to go back and forth between the 2nd fret and the open string. You see I've got just a regular downstroke palm mute in between the galloping part there. So just kind of listen to that and just get that cadence, get that feel, and just kind of practice that over and over. And remember, you can always rewind. You can always go back to where the lesson starts, where the actual rhythm playing starts. In fact, I will have a timestamp for all the lessons, the 3 riffs that we're going through, and also where I'm playing it slower. I'll have the timestamp for that as well in the YouTube description, so you can always refer back to that. All right, let's move on to advanced galloping riff number 2. All right, so now we're getting into a little bit more complex riff here, okay? And we're really moving those fingers around quite a bit. So before I play this slow, and of course I'll throw up the tabs, I'll type that out somewhere on the screen here. But before we get into that, I want you to kind of like simplify this in your mind, okay? You see those fingers moving around, you hear the galloping in there, but really all I'm doing is one. There's two things here. One, I'm starting notes with a gallop on three different parts, right? Three different strings, really, the D string, the A string, and then we're playing some galloping on the E string. So just think in those terms, gallop on this string, there's another gallop here, and there's some galloping on the E string. Okay, no big deal. Now, you see those fingers moving around a bit. I want you to simplify this and think of this as Jason's just playing not even a full scale. It's just part of what would be a scale. You know, that's all it is. We're just playing some notes that really are part of a scale. That's it, okay? Not even a full scale. So I just want you to think about that so that in your mind, before you start playing it, you can simplify it. It's like, oh, okay, it looks cool and it sounds cool and it looks a little complex, but it's really not that bad. It's just something you'll have to practice, okay? So let's go through riff number 2. And of course, you can hear some palm muting in there at the end to break things up a little bit. Now, I want to just kind of go back to, again, it's not a scale, it's just part of a scale. Again, I like you to simplify things before you start playing it. Kind of like break it down in your mind and like, okay, that's just this, that's all it is. No big deal. Okay, just kind of go through it. But I want to just point out that, you know, we're going in one direction starting out, but we kind of go back, right? So we're starting from a high note to a low note, but then we kind of go back and then kind of start it over again on the next string, which would be the A string. So here's what I'm talking about. Just kind of follow me here. That's one part. Then we kind of go back up, right? Starting on the A string. So it's just kind of that little back and forth swing there that you have. It's like we're going one way, but we sort of catch the listener off guard, like by going back the other way, but we don't go all the way and we just start again, if that makes sense. This is just one of those things I like to think about when I'm writing riffs, when I'm writing songs, is how can I make the riff a little bit more interesting so it's not just a scale, right? So it's not just, I mean, there's other notes you can throw in, of course, but I like to think of these types of things. How can I make this riff a little bit more interesting? And more importantly, how can I make this like really reach out and captivate the listener? Because it's more than just being able to play a cool riff or being able to play fast or whatever. There's also the other capability of being able to write something on your own and really, grab the listener's attention. It's like, wow, okay, that speaks to me. That riff speaks to me. So that's just kind of a side note here as you're going along with this. Now, on that note, no pun intended, puns intended. Anyway, on that note, I also encourage you, and we're going to get to number 3. We got one more riff to go through, but I also encourage you to take what you're learning from me here, but expand on it. That's really where these lessons become very powerful, is when you learn what I'm teaching you here, learn what I'm showing you, but then start to expand. Take the concepts and start to expand and just branch out and start writing your own riffs based on, the techniques and methods I'm showing you. All right, riff number 3. Alright, so you're probably saying, dude, this is very Megadeth-y. This is Holy Wars, right? So it kind of is Holy Wars. Actually, that's probably how it actually starts out. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to take Dave Mustaine's riff and kind of do what we talked about towards the end of the last lesson and just add our own flavor to it here. Now, I would never use this as a song, just so you guys know, because that's, it's his riff. But for the purpose of this lesson, I wanted to expand on it. And the reason I'm doing that is because this riff is going to get you used to not only using all 4 fingers for your rhythms for these single notes that we're playing, but also different switching back and forth between different finger positioning, okay? And this is really going to help you build that strength and that connection between your brain and what you want your fingers to do. So I'm gonna go through this riff. Let's first just kind of go through the notes, because I know there's a lot of notes going on. So let me play those for you first, and then I'll actually play the riff several times slow, and I'll have the tabs up there for you. All right, so now let's play the entire riff a few times, and I'll throw up the tabs. Now, real quick, I just want to reiterate how powerful this particular riff is, because again, not only are you using all four fingers, but you're going back and forth between different finger positions here. And that's really just strengthening that connection between your brain and your fingers. So it's kind of like a brain exercise and a guitar lesson and finger exercise all in one, not to mention we're integrating that really extremely cool galloping method here. I know I said this throughout the video several times, but guys, I truly encourage you to expand on the riffs that you're learning in my lessons. Then that goes for all of my lessons. I don't want you just to learn what I'm showing you, okay? I don't want you just to learn that note for note. Yeah, that's cool and all, but add some notes to it, or play these in different places throughout the fretboard. Kind of make it your own. And one thing I want to point out here, if you don't, and I think I said this earlier, if you don't play each riff perfectly, hey, I'm okay with that. You're not going to hurt my feelings. What you come up with on your own, what feels more natural to you. If I'm going here, you may go there. It may feel more natural to go somewhere else. That's okay. I actually encourage that, because what's happening is you're developing your own signature style of playing. You're developing your own sound. And I think this is crucial, so crucial. And this is what a lot of guitar players miss. They try to learn every single thing someone else is doing note for note, or they're trying to sound like so-and-so and trying to play like this person or that person. And you kind of miss the boat on developing your own style. Yes, it's important to learn from other guitar players. I mean, you're learning from this channel, from my channel. I hope you are anyway. But again, don't become so obsessed with playing things exactly like someone else is playing, or learning the exact technique someone else is doing, okay? Once you get the basics down, which if you went through these lessons just now, you're way beyond the basics, okay? So this is the point where you really start developing your own sound and style. So I strongly encourage you to do that. Real quick, if you don't have my free practice guide, Metal Riffs and Licks, make sure you grab a copy of that. There is a link in the description of this video. And a lot of you already know about my guitar course that I just put out in April called Metal Riff Master. I know a lot of you have taken that, or you're in it now, and I've gotten so much awesome feedback from you, so thank you. But a link to that course is in the description of this video as well. So guys, I hope this video helped you. I hope you got some value out of it. I will see you on the next video. Until then, as always, keep it metal.